Baldur, Höður, Loki. Óðsmál, óðsmál.org, Freyjukettir, Norræn menning, Iceland. Loki is the very act of closing and opening up. Icelandic loka and ljúka upp. Loki is a spur of a cycle in time. Loki is in time and space, as are we right now. He tends to fuck up things, then tries to amend just as do we. He is of divine origin, like us, and also deceitful. Lives an all-worldly life of short-range profit. Do we ever do that? We are divine beings walking on earth in a body made of gungnir, vibrations. Gods, Óður, Hænir, Lóður, bring gifts. We have a problem. We have no idea of why we are going into the trouble of life in the sphere of time and space. And not only once, but over and over again, if we knew that. Nobody tells us the purpose and goal, the less how to achieve it. Valhöll clear, Valhöll in the fog. On the other hand, there is a lot of astray leading rubbish around. Our Loki is Saturnus of the Romans and other southerly peoples. The Christmas feast is Saturnalia and is our northern Yule, and Loki has a lot to do with that. Loki is Sani of the east, Kronos amongst the Greek, time. So his role is connected to time and space in our beloved world. All these guys have Saturday in common. That is how many nations have him, them. Has been so for thousands of years. Their planet is Saturnus, and they relate to the counterpart in the human brain as Putamen. See book by Dr. Tony Natter, Human Physiology. Perhaps we should stop getting married on a Saturday. Rather evoke our goddess of oaths, Vár, to the sacred acts on a Friday, the day of Freyja. Goddess Vár, on the picture Menglöð, Svipdagur, they are Freyja and Óður. The bride and groom, the newlyweds, can, luckily, in our times, sleep late the following morning, and so can the guests, without any workday's time pressure. Loki closes the old and opens a new worldly cycle. Icelandic verb líkur comes to an end. Lykst upp opens up. Icelandic lok, end, also a lid. One circle is closed, a new one is born. Bites its own tail, swallows. Time consumes all created things. The old year is, on New Year's Eve, swallowed by the new one. A cycle, one of nature's many natural cycles. Copyright of the picture to the right, Dr. John Hagelin, different vibrational modes, the elements. Our beautiful nature is, anyway, nothing but vibrating gungnir. She is ever flickering, tricky, not to be grasped, no stuff. We claim to see stuff, material, but that is our own making. What is nature? The answer is in Óðsmál, consciousness and Mother Nature. And here we have time and space. We have duality and opposites. This is the playground of Loki, our playground. As time consumes all created things, so the old year is swallowed by the new year. The departing year is often pictured as an old man and the new year as a baby, seen simply as one of our natural cycles. Time is not a straight line. Yet we should not claim time to go in circles, rather call this a process, or even cycling development. Time is a subtle energy of force, which manifested before the cosmic manifestation. This is Vedic physics. We have these big and small cycles in nature, and we should see them as process, progress, and cycles. Everything moves towards perfection, step by step. Everything blossoms. That tendency is inherent in life. We create time in our head because we see change, perpetual change, vibrating gungnir, ever changing. Time, this dominating power, is our perception of change in the realm of the flickering and the unstable. We say is, was, will be, but we see not the never-changing pure knowledge. We are playing with Gungnir all the time, making our world. Gungnir is so unstable by nature that even observing phenomena has effects on the vibrations, behavior. Measurement theory of quantum physics states that the observer affects the observed. It is a scientific reality that the very act of us putting our attention on trends encourages those trends. What kind of weapon is Gungnir? Vacillating, flighty, Zitterbewegung only. Would its owner, who wields it, be considered either indecisive and faint-hearted, or a genius to be able to use it for creating? What we call a world or creation is perpetually being created and dissolved. Our useful jötnar see to the tidying up for us, our recycling service. We really make far too many creations, most of them useless. Nature's phenomenon, our beloved winter solstice on the northern hemisphere, is a point in time. One phase of time passes by, departs, a new one appears. Baldur takes a short trip to Helia and is resurrected on the third day. We rejoice as this is our Yuletide holidays. Constantine, Emperor of Rome, desperately needed to keep his subjects happy and content. His empire was rather big, from Palestine to England, containing diverse cultural differences. Constantine avoided arousing religious wars, therefore not banning Saturnalia, only placing his new Roman version, birthday of Jesus Christ, thereupon. Everybody happy. So we use different names: Saturnalia, Jól, Júl, Christ Mass, Darkness Mass, Winter Solstice, the Feast of Darkness and Light, Natalia, a birth, Weihnachten, the sacred season. Note that we are on the northern hemisphere, Júl on winter solstice. South of equator, they have summer solstice when we have winter solstice. No sense makes to feast Roman Christmas according to the Roman calendar, that is December, on the southern hemisphere. Holy Mary grieves, Goddess Frigg grieves, a Celtic cross, cardinal directions. Saturnalia, Júl, is all about time. Time and space are only to be found in universes. Ginnungagap, even if being the origin of all possibilities, has nothing to do with time and space, as it is eternity. That space idea pops up, our Heimdallur and his sounding Gjallarhorn, by the movement of Óðinn Vili Vie. Óðinn Vili Vie, Heimdallur, a picture from Snorra Edda. When they search for knowledge in pure knowledge, making space for space. Curiosity, search of Óðinn Vili Vie, thus responsible for creation. Ginnungagap is all knowledge, as a potentiality for everything, but it does not take part in that time business. Neither does it partake in our diversity, opposites, duality. It only is. It contains silence, nibl, and dynamism, muspel, but only as potentiality. Why do we not see this? We are Ginnungagap, even if we live in a body. Does this imply that we do not see who we in reality are? Are we also saying here that time is of no concern of ours? Yes, actually, time, this great power, is of no concern to eternity. But we love to have our Yule. There is always something exciting happening in time and space, and the perpetual change of dancing Gungnir. So much fun that we have no time to find out what we are. Besides, that we have no notion of what we are doing here. Do not even ask ourselves that question. We often picture the new year as a baby in a cradle, the Christmas child, but the old year as a departing old man with his stick. He is swallowed by time, which consumes everything. Saturnus swallows, time eats, all things in the world decay. Note that only our ever-changing bodies dissolve after use. eaten by Geri and Freki, and perhaps by Jötnar, Geri og Freki. Our beloved body is made of gungnir, which flickers and has fun and functions in the sphere of time and space. Its lifespan in our body is meant for our spiritual evolution. We should know this and know how we should evolve spiritually. We should know this very purpose and goal of our life, each and every our lifespan. We shouldn't waste our time. We, the real we, are never swallowed by time, not even at the Ragnarök, when Fermi and Bohr's fields return from the broken symmetry to unity. This is physics. Note that Loki is also meddling up with Ragnarök. The broken symmetry returns, collapses to unity, when time has come on such an end in time. Halir tróða helveg at Ragnarök, men march to Helja. But that is only true for our bodies made of gungnir. Tróða halir helveg at Ragnarök, all men will cease to live in a body on earth. Implies also that there is our eternal life. We do not die. Our body made of gungnir goes to the dogs. Meat is given to Geri and Freki. Earth rises again, waterfalls and an eagle flying. A new playground for us, and Loki. We tend to eat a lot during Yule. We eat animals and birds we have killed and roasted in spices. A great time of eating. In January, the gyms are used to burn fat, which is admitting eating out of control and too much killing. The Icelandic Yule cat, jólakötturinn, swallows those who do not get any new garment for Yule. He might be derived from the Scandinavian Yule goat, she again from zodiac sign Capricornus, 10th sign, which Einar Pálsson sees in Grímnismál as our Glitnir. Jólakötturinn does not have horns, but the threat tool Grýla sometimes does. She catches naughty kids in December and cooks them to eat. And a tail she sometimes has, perhaps borrowed from the devil, the supposedly bad one. He is an all-year-round bad guy threat, not only some Christmas threat. He tries to catch souls, consume, burn them. The devil was imported to Iceland from the south. He has no much in our heritage and was never taken seriously. We always mocked that soul hunter and could always trick him in one way or another with cunningness. He was a failure of a tool up here. I think Satan, may have worked down south though, sometimes, but Grýla, the eater of naughty kids, was a devil tool on kids. They were really terrified during the Dark Ages in Iceland. We heathens only have the joy of Yule. This innocent joy was suffocated in some theocratic horror of obedience or else you will be eaten. Stupid mothers and theocracies always need threats, carrot and stick, heaven or hell. There is no hell for souls. Nothing is happening in the timelessness of Helja. Rún Hagall. Remember Loki, father's hell. Only when we live in our body can our spiritual evolution be carried out, not during rest in Helja. The role of Loki in our myths is to point out to us the consequences of our stupidity. Without Loki, only the perfection of our laws of nature remains in our myths. Loki propels the wheel of time all the time. Loki is the bitter taste of spice in the consumption renewal we call time. Loki is that ongoing realization of plans, most of which are made in ignorance. If we only knew why we are here, then we would work on that, not this waste of time rubbish. Váli Baldur víðar Höður, Loki. Our myths picture our Yule game so. Loki claims time to have come to put out the light of Baldur. He hands a weapon over to Höður, a rootless parasite, which some use as a Yule or Christmas decoration. I wonder if those who pin up a mistletoe at Yuletide know about Höður. Do they know that our forefathers' myths still live in their decor? Höður, seen as allegory, can be our blindness, not to understand our inner light. Sometimes the cremation of Baldur is seen as an eclipse. Björn Jónsson, author of book Stjarnvísi í Eddum. Some take the miss simply as Jul, annual winter solstice, the holy season of the year. Loki tricks Höður into throwing a little innocent mistletoe at Baldur, our sun god, with consequences we all know. Baldur is vopndauður. Vopndauður, that means weapon dead, has been slain by the blow of a weapon. Know that hell is a place of rest for all those who die. But Valhöll is for living men, einherjar, men living an exalted state of consciousness. We always return to life from Helja, but once having reached Valhöll, we need not necessarily go for more lifespans than the present one. We might, though, want to come again, perhaps to make a better world of men, teach all men to nísa niður, tell them what lifespans are for. Valhöll means coming home, returning where we belong. This is enlightenment. First, now we can bear the name a man. Death does not exist. So perhaps the myth is telling us that stupidity and ignorance of man kills the inner light, our sun god Baldur, the sun of enlightenment. We see ourselves in myths. Skaði seeks the highest, the supreme, Baldur. Óðsmál book Skaði njörður Baldur. On YouTube, Skírnismál, how to perform and understand the ritual. As nature's natural cycles, Loki, time, tricks Höður, the blind winter darkness in the north, to trigger off winter solstice. We need to close one phase to open up for the new. Sun is not seen by our eyes during winter solstice nights. Time now turns, or rather evolves, or rotates, revolves. Baldur takes a trip to hell, our beloved friend, and then he is resurrected, as all sun gods do. Baldur is, of course, not mortal, as long as our universe lasts, all the time to Ragnarök. Hermóður writes to Helja for Baldur. Baldur is not only our sun, but also our inner light, which never dies. Jul is that we do not see our sun, but we always regain her. Rebirth of light, regained inner light, a new life, the baby. Baldur is resurrected on the third day, as that is what sun gods tend to do. So his stay with Helja is a short one, luckily. Hel's hospitality is famous. She needs no banquets, as our needs are not those of a physical body. But she offers us peace and rest, a quiet rest in peace. Hel is but a part of the cycle. We living in the world, and we not living in the world. Hel houses the immortal us, a kind of waiting part of the cycle. Jötnar and Geri and Freki see to the disposal of bodies and accessories. Óðsmál book Jötnar, Geri, Freki. The devil is not in the picture here. He is but an imported tool to frighten the poor ignorant mob. He never could be used on us Icelanders, failed to frighten us. We mocked him instead of fearing him. We gave him many funny names, and he had admiringly good heating facilities. Hermóður writes to Helja. Earth heavily moans under the hoofs of Sleipnir. Hermóður, the meaning of his name, might not at all be Hermóður, the battle-eager one, but could be Herm, Óður. Óður, infuriated by harmur, sorrow. Because of this hermdarverk, an act causing grief, that incident of time cycle, disaster, in which Höður, not knowing the consequences, was involved so blindly. Time had him act in blindness. Our darkness is so ignorantly blind. Baldur with Hel is a short stay, a short pause on a cycle in timelessness of 3 days. Then life goes on, a new year, a Yule baby born. Another example of a short trip is our nísa niður. That is when we take a short trip to Ásgarður every day, twice daily, all our lifespan. We visit the timelessness in our own consciousness. Fully alive, of course. Forget all about time and space, change, duality and opposites. And here we reset all our physical and mental performances to perfection. Perpetually pay a visit to Glaðheimar to take a sip of our nourishing divine mead. So are Yule, purifying as rebirth, celebrated in nature's cycle every year. The holy season celebration, Yuletide, once a year. As easily as Nýsa niður, we ride to Helja to reclaim our sun god, our timeless inner light. Fenrir, Miðgarðsormur, children of Loki, Fenrir, Hel, Jörmungandur. We understand the worldly cycles, small and big. They will be here while our universe prevails. Loki sees to that at the appropriate time. Freyja, the space-time foam. Actually, the Freyja bubble and Ragnarök are but a cycle, a little universe existence cycle in time. We might claim it to be rather big, measured on our scale. Said to be half through after 13.8 billions of man-years, going on for the second half, in spite of all these endless end-of-the-world alerts, which turn out the day after to be fake, wrong timing. Ginnungagap does not pay the least attention to all these space-time cycle troubles of ours. It does not change when universes come into being and dissolve at their Ragnarök. Beautiful Freyjas and Ragnarök are but a play. We simply leave to Loki these connections and change in time, like these perpetual Yule connections, which actually Mother Earth takes care of for Loki. He has his ways of getting assistance with his plans. Google Earth's axis. Understand how Mother Earth gives us seasons, days, nights, different qualities of the 24 hours, how she lullabies us to sleep and wakes us up by turning her surface towards the sunrise. Understand also Mundilfari, who makes a mandala when Mother Earth waggles us. One cycle of Mundilfari takes 26,000 years. So, now we have the whole understanding of the whole game of Yuletide. Baldur hinn góði, Baldur the good, stands bright and beautiful. Nothing whatsoever can harm him. The gods have fun throwing weapons at Baldur, but no weapon can harm the light of the world. Nothing can, or so we think. Loki, as time, now sees that time has come for Yule. He tricks Höður to put out the light of Baldur by throwing at him a mistletoe. Mistletoe is a rootless parasite living on trees. The tree has roots, but the mistletoe lives on it without giving back or doing anything for it, as in the case of symbiosis. Höður, our blindness and the dark part of the cycle, becomes his brother's bane. World's opposites, like darkness and light, are brothers, just as our worldly happiness has sorrow as a sister. We are silent during Bálför, the cremation of Baldur. But Loki needs not only finish a cycle, he has to open the following one. Loki is time in the ever-change swear while world stands. And Loki is we who fuck up things and try to amend. An alternating kind of a cycle we are responsible for. This is sun. Baldur the good is written here. Baldur hinn góði, detail of the picture. Hermóður rides to Helja. The earth trembles under the hoofs of Sleipnir. Hel sees at once that time has come for us to regain our Baldur, birth of the light in the world of men, and the rebirth of our inner light. These levels of understanding depend upon the state of consciousness we live, each one of us. Note, we refine our perception and awareness by Nýsa niður. Now, we would like this accident, which Höður in a way was responsible for, not to happen again. But the cycles of time, and the time in the cycles will continue. We know here that there will be Yule again and again. Yule lads, elves, churchyard decoration, Yule tree, Yule celebration, Yule food, Yule lights, Yule presents, and the red, Yule red. During the lapse of time, all our Yule customs seem to have mixed and mingled to become a decorative heap or a kind of a Yule pudding. Rather a showy elaboration, but who knows what is what of it all? Saturnus as time, or the father of time, is still going strong, here and now in the western part of the world. As Santa Claus from Mira and the Coca-Cola Santa have or has kids on his laps in malls, big business in December, that looks exactly like Saturnus on ancient pictures. And we have the newborn baby in the cradle, the newborn time. We never see Santa holding an old man on his laps, listening to what he would like to get as Yule present. I do not know if Saturnus laughs out loud ho 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 during this happy time of his role as time. Do not know who the Black Slave and Father Winter originally are, but there is such a heap of recycled ideas. The origin is somehow diffused at times. Who cares? We have Yule. Wikipedia, a 13th century description of St. Nicholas from St. Catherine's Monastery, Sinai. Main article St. Nicholas. No reindeers connected to Saturnus of the southern countries, so the reindeer sledge, I assume, is derived from the north, perhaps borrowed from Odin, who rides over the sky at Yule to chase away wights of darkness and cold. We cannot think of a better Yule present here up north than spring, light nights, vegetation. Easter, our spring deity, will soon tiptoe on her neat feet on earth. What would Odin be wearing up there in the sky? Must be cold, besides the rush through air, surface cooling. Who is Jolnir at Yule? Or perhaps Odin is here not in time and space and the 5 elements, but in dhyana, Tao, dvinun, which means transcending. Would it perhaps be from our pure consciousness that we influence our beloved nature? Óðsmál book, Consciousness and Mother Nature, we pick up some handy powerful fimbulrúnir. It is held for true that reindeers sometimes eat mushrooms which make them intoxicated. Then they jump and fly in a state of acceleration, as long as it lasts. Just as little birds eat rowan berries in autumn, get drunk, and in out-of-control flying bump into obstacles. We should be careful what we consume. But if we stay on earth and in the air, in the realm of the 5 created höfuðskepnur elements, what then would be the Yule color of Odin as Jolnir? Amanita muscaria, Wikipedia. Mosaic of red mushrooms found in the Christian Basilica of Aquileia in northern Italy before 330 Anno Domini. The widespread notion is that the esteemed wise men and women who knew all the sciences of the healing plants and how to prepare them for medicine wore the red robe with white decor, indicating their knowledge, and that it is the Amanita muscaria who they have as their token. Obviously, the fashion of red Santa is much older then than the cardinal red fashion of the cardinals. Did they, by any chance, take after the wise medicine men and thereby from Santa? During the dark ages of Europe, the knowledge of medicinal plants was banned as devilish sorcery. The wise men and women burned at the stake, along with their knowledge. Their tradition, their skills, their know-how was destroyed, but the red color was not burnt. It survived the persecutions of ignorance. During the Dark Ages, everything that could not be used by the authorities was burnt to the ashes. Pharmaco was not yet on the market. There were other motives. No one could be mightier than the authorities. Men should die when the Roman god decided that so it should be. His will should not be opposed. He sent calamities to punish sinners for their sins. Everyone was born sinful according to the official doctrines of these times. Only the registration of an individual into a certain institution could save them from dying sinful. Whether a baby died or lived was not the headache of the authorities. Registration was income of money. Note, baptism is the registration of a baby into an institution. Kings never converted to monotheism for salvation. They understood how one king, one power, one God, one opinion allowed was as a strong political tool. This was politics. Cats were exceptionally annoying. They were devils incarnated. Cats were tortured to death. Mice and rats multiplied. When the cats were gone, plagues and epidemics followed. That was the will of God and his revenge for the sins of the mob. Nowadays, doctors are still a bit annoyed by ancient methods of medicine. A bit trying to outsmart that. Claim no research to be there to back that up. Some herbals even dangerous to our health. On the other hand, they claim their herbs, used in their certified medicine, to be scientifically prepared. They claim the ancient to be untraditional, their own to be traditional. To my mind, it should be the other way around. What is traditional? The knowledge of medicinal plants were termed sorcery and witchcraft during the Dark Ages, termed homeopathic when the present learned doctors came, they who turned ancient tradition as untraditional. Is the word traditional, used here in the upside-down meaning deliberately in order to influence our opinion? In that way, the Roman Empire made its attempts to brainwash us. Concepts used in a new way, perhaps in the opposite meaning, sneaked into concepts in order to change them from within. The much-researched pharmaco showed up on the market. They do all scientific research themselves, wearing white lab coats. Looks trustworthy indeed. Perhaps pharmaco is intent on not losing the market. Perhaps those who want to revive the old tradition of medicinal plants are not doing their research necessary for marketing. Our Jule lads, Icelandic jólasveinar, are, according to Óðsmál, our forefathers. They do not wear the mushroom red, not the cardinal fashion either, not the Santa ho-ho-ho. Perhaps we did offer food to our beloved forefathers during Yuletide in reverence. We could call it dedication to forefathers or worship, and that was bad. We were obliged to worship only what the authorities benefited from and only what they decided. If we did sacrifice food to forefathers, this had to be done undercover. So we told them, oh, what a pity, they stole food from us. Terrible. Sometimes we have to know how to tell little white lies. Our forefathers might have visited us during Yuletide, all the time since the settlement, when we decided to have 26 weeks of summer and 26 weeks of winter, and kept our ancient winter solstice celebration. Nowadays we put on the graves in the churchyard a lit candle, electric light decorations, a red tulip, green branch of evergreens. This is not banned even if it is paying reverence to beloved ones, especially if you also have a white cross there as well. Who knows if someone puts out some corn on the snow for the little hungry birds. Note, the names of the number of our Icelandic jólasveinar, Jule lads, is later time inventions. The Jule present from Odin is a real present. He does not claim anything in return. That is the true gift. Nature's cycles are in time and space, are of our world. The laws of nature see to all that flawlessly. The gods preside over natural law. Please note that laws of nature are perfect and flawless, but man-made laws are worldly thoughts, which always reflect the state of consciousness of those men who write them, compose them. But we also have give back if you want your friendship to last. Gjöf skal gjalda ef vináttu á að halda. So how do we do that in case of nature's gifts we accept? We shall sacrifice ourselves as a fórn into Ginnungagap in return for nature's bounty. She gives and gives. We need to nourish her by nísa niður. The Icelandic word fórn means to bring, verb færa, to the feast. What do we bring when we come to the feast in Ásgarður? Us ourselves. Thought and mind diminishes, fades, dvínar to dá, dhyana. Our individual consciousness expands to infinity of glaðheimar. This is the only sacrifice, fórn, which actually is of any worth. It is unforgivable that our Icelandic jólasveinar are getting into the horrible potato business. An appalling example of theocratic thinking carried out by brainwashed mothers is that raw potato in the shoe in the windowsill in December. Here we have an example of a horrible gift in December when kids, in their childlike and innocent joy of Yuletide, are looking forward to the holy season of winter solstice. When mean and base mothers abuse the Yule white, blame the good giving white for their own stupid wrongdoings, lie to their bairns that some he put a raw potato in the shoe because of some assumed disobedience, obedience to some perhaps stupid rules made by some perhaps stupid mothers. Mothers who do not see how stupid they are, as nobody ever taught them the purpose and goal of human life. What is the message to the child? When one obeys rules, he is good, is rewarded. When one has his own free will, he is bad, will be punished. Poor Saint Peter has a similar role at the gate, heaven or hell, according to the sin register, admittance or refusal, based on some institutional rules about which he can have nothing to say. An institution might award some for killing for it, saints, and accuse someone who does not please it, their use of sin. Poor Saint Peter is here working for an all-worldly institution, in contrast to the law of karma, the role of urður, verðandi skuld, who flawlessly calculate our time to repay for our actions, an infallible law of nature. Urður, verðandi skuld, law of karma. Watch out for time pressure tools. Hurry, repent sins, one lifespan only, Mr. Death with his sheath and an egg-cooking time-glass clocks, and a clock in soaring church towers. Definitely the carrot stick, boon punishment, sweets or a raw potato in the shoe, is nothing but churchianists obey or else. That threat of punishment for disobedience, which is so utterly opposed to heathen ideals of bringing up kids. Heathen kids learn to be responsible, learn to take their decisions heedfully. They are, namely, responsible for their own örlög, fate. They are not dumb puppies. So heathen mothers cannot use any kind of a Santa Claus as a device of punishment, as is that cruel tool, the humiliating raw potato in the windowsill in December. In heathenry there is not that heaven or hell concept, no stick nor a carrot. Every bairn learns to be all responsible for himself and for the whole of nature. The keys are to live in tune, be heedful, and to transcend. We learn about transcending in Óðsmál, Vísa 138, Nísa niður, and the benefits thereof. This knowledge we shall make use of. If kids are brought up like coaxed dogs, they soon find out that cheating is necessary to avoid inconveniences. The stick. They cannot cope with their brainwashed mothers. Fear is a handy tool in hands of ignorance to keep us obedient, but has to be backed up with additional ignorance as to work. Kids should know why they are born, learn to master their own free human will, learn to nísa niður to become purified, so to get only exalted wishes and take only right and evolutionary decisions. Understand the purpose and goal of human lifespans. Everything delicate and noble is awake during the holy season, winter solstice, Yuletide. Elves are on the move during this time of year. They are very delicate. I like to believe that in the olden days we sacrificed to our elves during Yuletide. For sure, if it was food, the little hungry birds and the mice in the wilderness would have benefited therefrom. Thousands of years ago, elves accompanied Indra and still do. The gods allowed the elves to partake in the sacrifice, and still do. The word elf, Icelandic álfur, is said to be of the same stem as Sanskrit ribu, Greek alphein, Latin labor, Gothic arbeiðs, Anglo-Saxon erfoð, Slavic rabu. Alpheus is a Greek river god, Alpheus Potamos, and our elves are a free flow or rivers, channels, elfur, srota, the way into the purity that is to be found here deep inside. These flows have to be open, pure, purified, spotless, stainless. Ripumat in Sanskrit is wise, clever, skillful, and Ripustira is said about Indra, meaning wise and clever. The root of Ripu is rab, to grasp, hold, embrace, or to want very much to have, also connected to lab. In connection to our sun, who stands still on winter solstice, Agohja is still, is idle, remains idle. Elves, álfar, are microcircular channels, srota, in our body. They are the way into the treasure in the elf cliff inside us. Only when all the channels in our physiology are without any obstacles to the flow, when all stresses and impurities have been dissolved and left us, then the way into the divine treasure in the elf cliff, Álfhóll, is easily passable. Álft, a swan, is a word related to Álfur. Álftarhamur, a swan guise, is an attribute of the one who is pure and can fly, akin to yogic flying. Pure men can float and fly in the air in that way. The Icelandic word hamur is from Sanskrit hamsa, a swan. Perhaps Big Pharma is clogging the channels of our body, as we often attack symptoms without knowing that the treatment can damage something else. Deepak Chopra once said about some modern medical treatments, shooting sparrows with a cannon. It is wiser to prevent symptoms by finding the culprit and remove it. The cause of disease could be some clogging in the channels of the body and stress in the nervous system. The best and easiest way to become perfectly pure and healthy is to nísa niður often. Hundreds of scientific research found on global country sites, transcending riches of all accumulated stress in our nervous system, opens up all sorota, opens up for our elves. The easiest and most effective way to health is to nísa niður, and there are only beneficial side effects, a heightened state of consciousness, to culminate in enlightenment, living Valhöll. For some reason or another, institutions imported to Iceland tried to make elves look suspicious. Elves should be avoided at all cost. Or was the ignorance so dense and intense that everything in the ancient wisdom should be destroyed and spoiled? Note, it cannot be used as a tool. This was, anyway, going on during the dark ages here in Iceland. Perhaps these powerful dominating institutions knew or feared that elves would lead us away from the institution's doctrines. They preached that we should never accept the treasure offered by the elves when seduced to enter their elf cliffs. Elves should be avoided, as they would lure us into their treasures. And from their great reserves, we could never return. The institutions would thereby lose these misguided souls and, what was even worse, their money. Once enlightened, entirely pure, we shall never again return to ignorance. Ignorance and impurities are gone, evaporated. We have found our inner treasure. In connection with a white cross in the graveyards, a red tulip, lit candle, a green branch, air light decoration. Who are there in the graveyard? Nobody. Only lifeless corpses in coffins. Not of any use now for anyone for walking in on earth. Why do we visit graves to remember our departed beloved ones? They are not here. So where are they? They are not an individual consciousness at the moment. They are everywhere. Only urður verðandi skuld keep track on our binding actions infallibly correct. They are a law of nature in time and never fail in their timing. Helja, Hringhorni. We used to have an association here in Iceland that was some few decades ago, named the Bálfarafélag, the Association for Cremations. I do not find it anywhere now, perhaps the members all dead. My Hringhorni, which is also the name of the cremation ship of Baldur, is a cremation oven, pulled by a 4x4 to any place in Iceland, wherever we choose to have our cremation take place, fueled by either electricity or by bottle gas, whichever the choice. It is more dignified to drive the oven to the home of the mourning families than to drive the cadaver to Reykjavik in a cargo truck. This actually is a fact. Besides that people in Reykjavik refuse to have a new cremation oven built in their neighborhood. This protest actually is a fact. Land for graveyards is getting difficult to grant. We should prefer the houses for living men to graveyards. Perhaps the owner of the corpse would be better off if he had ashes, but not a mummy to try to forget, disconnect from. We should know that we make a brand new body in next lifespan. The trouble with cremation is amalgam in teeth. because of which we need expensive equipment as some refiner for the cremation ovens. We know, though, that there is a lot of these polluting substances emitted all over into the atmosphere and nothing done about it. Pacemakers have to be removed as they explode on the fire. We have all kinds of accessories, joints, limbs and other things which are removed after the cremation before the ashes are put into the jar. It is coming into fashion to donate organs, so why not simply remove amalgam tooth fillings? Just remove the polluting substances, as we still use that, and we do not need the refinery outfit on the oven. Religions do not particularly have a say anymore. We are starting to think rationally. Religion is on the sphere of thought and emotion, money, rules, all worldly. What we need is understanding of the purpose of life and the means to reach our goal. Institutions that do not want to be stopped on their march, and men who lose their prerequisites if their institutions are abolished or put aside as unnecessary, would benefit from the true knowledge about what we are here for. What is the purpose and the goal of man's lifespans, and how easily we reach the goal when we learn how to do that? All men should learn that which is the only necessary. We should return to our forefathers' science of consciousness. We should understand truly the Gnostic teachings and rid ourselves of imprinted literalism. Too many institutions lack this vital understanding. We make a body in order to evolve spiritually. In Helia, we are not evolving, only here. That is what life on earth is for. Óðsmál is the key to the understanding of our cultural and spiritual heritage. Instead of illiteracy on allegory and symbolic language, we gain literacy, profound understanding. Our forefathers knew science of consciousness. In Óðsmál, we also come across theories which show how physics were understood by our forefathers in ancient times. It correlates to modern physics, such as wormholes. You will be amazed when I tell you who Freyja is, something we never understood before. We have to understand the purpose of the whole game of living. You will be delighted when I point out to you the pure theosophy contained in Hávamál and other poems and myths. About time to rediscover the understanding after centuries of blindness and ignorance. Óðsmál books available online, óðsmál.org. On youtube.com/goyagoði you will find a bunch of educational fun. I also have for you skírnismál ritual to be performed by children. Lord Freyr points out to us men, that's Gerður, that we are too busy with all kinds of things and forget the only necessary. All diversity, opposites, duality in the world is like drops in the ocean. Individual consciousness is, at depth, cosmic consciousness, but on the surface, individual. What matters is that we remember who we are. This is our myth. When we live our life grounded in pure consciousness, remember that we are pure consciousness. Remember that, along with our thoughts and intellect, we live in purity. We shall teach our parents, our forefathers, science of consciousness. It is the greatest science in the world, and it is our spiritual heritage. Whatever we learn, if we are not deeply rooted in our pure, profound awareness, that is baseless learning. If we want profundity, understanding, if we seek the supreme purpose in life, we learn to nísa niður and nema upp fimbulrúnir.